Hi everyone, our journal from scratch, and we finally finished this notebook. This was the last page, and now it's the fun of doing the cover. So I'm going to go about all kinds of options for the cover, but what I want to do today is use all the leftover painty papers that we've done at the start. I just don't want to leave too much things to go in my stash, and because there were so many positive comments that wanted me to continue this series, I'm going to continue, but we are going to do a new journal. This was done in a simple notebook from the cheap store, the cheapest there is. It was just blank white paper that I adhered 2-3 pages together to have a nice substrate to work on. And this is the original cover of the notebook, and it's kind of glossy. Why am I pointing this out? Because if I wanted to do anything on top of this, I would especially paint, I would need to sand it a little bit with sanding paper before I put paint on it. Now, I don't like to work directly on the cover because most of the time, even if it's just glue or if it's paint, it will go on top of some of my pages. And also for convenient working space, I like to take most of the time a larger piece of paper and decide how I want to go about it. I'm just taking this black Bristol paper so I can demonstrate. I will probably use it as the cover. You don't have to have black Bristol paper. This is right now just so I can explain. So the minute I've got a larger piece of paper, I can decide, first of all, if I want to do a little bit more of a margin that will cover my notebook, something like this. I can decide if I want it to be with an overlap, like when it's open it will be like this, and when it's closed it would be like this. Now it can be straight, it can be torn, it can be any shape you want. The flap, that's another option, just so you will see what I'm talking about. Here is an example from a junk journal that I made. This is the flap. As you can see, you can do whatever you want. Here I just cut a circle and put acetate on the inside, but I've worked on it separately from the journal as much as I can remember. So that's what I like to do, and once I decide about the size and how it will go, then I will cut it to size and work on it. Only when I'm finished working on it, I will adhere it to the notebook, to the journal. So that's that. Now, there are all kinds of ways to go about covering your journal. It can be the simplest way, even with wrapping paper or with just a newspaper. And this is what we used to do when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and we used to cover all our school books each starting year, and notebooks. You probably all know it. Basically, you put your notebook or school book for that matter, you cut it here and you start folding it on the inside. There are all kinds of ways to go about it, but that's the basic way. There is also this way that you first start with the corner and then fold it on the inside and adhere. Sometimes you want to just put like a masking tape, sellotape here, so it won't be adhered to the cover and you can still take it out. So that's the basic way we use to cover our school books and notebooks. So another way to go about covering and using materials that you have, there are this kind of folders in any office supply store that you can use as the cover. This can be the cover for my notebook, just this area, and I will still have more to play with in another stuff. And of course there is all kinds of packaging, and then you can also recycle. Now I wanted to show you something with this pizza packaging. This won't cover my notebook, and even if you've got a piece that you want to use and doesn't cover your notebook or any journal that you made, you can still use it, and I will show you right now how to go about it. I'm going to do it roughly because this is not what I'm going to use for my cover. I'm just going to take out quickly the excess that I don't need much of it. Let's see, let's just eyeballing it roughly the size. Again, I'm not measuring right now, so just so I can demonstrate how you can use a smaller piece to create your cover. Okay, so that's the piece that I have to work with. I will just find the middle, and again I'm just going to do it. I kind of free eyeballing, whatever, it doesn't matter right now. Okay, so I've got two pieces that I can use to make a hardcover. So one goes here and one goes here. The only thing that you now need is something to cover here, and it can be, again, almost anything. I can even go and take one of my painty papers like so and create the spine. I can take a piece of fabric and create a spine. I can even take a large, wide masking tape. It can be duct tape. I even got duct tape that has some kind design on it, so that's also something that you can do. So anything can be the spine, and you can still use and recycle your boxes, all kinds of packaging. So that's that. And also there are all kinds of papers from paper pads that you can use, and anything that you have. I'm all for using whatever you have. So even if it's a small piece, you can still utilize it for your cover. Okay, so I already made a mess here on my desk. So what I wanted to do for this cover is black background. So all these colorful pieces will stand out on. And so I'm going to use this black Bristol paper just because it saves me time in taking another piece of paper and starting to paint it black. But again, any kind of paper, paint it black, and that's that. And I'm just going to do it a little bit bigger than my notebook, so it will look nicely, I don't know, covered for that matter, because as we went along it just got bulky, and now it needs just a little bit more cover. So I'm putting it where I want it, again approximately. I'm not one for too much measuring, but you can do you and measure. So I'm just placing it here, and let's see. so I will know where to start cutting. Okay, so for right now I'm putting the notebook aside and I'm going to cut this. Let's see, I'm using, because I don't like to measure, I'm just going to place this on my cutting mat and use the lines that I've got on the cutting mat as a guide. What can I say? I don't like measuring. I've done it too long in almost I'm past life when in the university, when I had to measure everything and it has to be to size when we would do just lost my words because I'm looking for my cutting knife and I can't find it. Where did I put it? I just used it. Oh, baby. Okay. So we've done, I went to the university. I've got a degree in designing for theater. So each time you plan sets for a play, you do it to scale and you have to do, well, it's a miniature house for that matter. Like everything is miniature and everything needs to be measured and to size. Okay, so I've got this. Okay, so that's my cover. And again, I can decide if I want to, if I feel it's not thick enough, I can adhere another page to it. I can do all kinds of stuff. Really up to you and how you feel about it. So that's my cover. And my idea was to use all these lovely pieces that I have left. And what I want to do is to start cutting all kinds of shapes. And I'm not doing measuring or not too symmetrical. And you can do if you like symmetrical, if you like measuring, if you like everything with very straight lines, you do you. So what I want to do is to take out pieces from each of this, and some of them I don't have a lot. Like here I want some kind of let's say a diamond shape, but I'm going about it with rounded corners. So I'm going to take shapes like this. I want one circle. Again, you can do it with a compass. You can use something like this that you can find in any office supply, back to school. Here you can find it in any cheap store, this kind of stuff, or you can find a round object and trace around it. So that's that, and let's take a rectangle. Yeah, so I'm just starting very small like this, and I will take all kinds of sizes. Again, I'm not measuring, more of a square. And you see, this is not symmetrical, it's not precise, it's nothing. Let's take, this is an interesting area, so I will take this kind. Yeah. And let's see, Just trying to use my papers, and of course I will have to cut everything and it's going to take time. So you can see what I'm doing here. I can even use this parts that I've taken shapes out of. I can decide that I want, let's call these tiles for that matter. And if you are not sure about it, you can always do it first with a pencil and then trace around with black permanent marker. So also an option. Like, I think I want it smaller here, but that's okay. When I'll fussy cut it, this part won't show. I'm thinking of using this and maybe on top of a bigger piece, so I will have this in the background, or maybe this in the background. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so I need to draw all these shapes over and over again, so I will have enough to play with, and once I'll finish, I'll come back. Okay, so I've got some pieces, and the only one that I've already adhered is the one that I told you I will do, and I decided that it's going to be here. At first I thought it would be center stage, you know, this is going to be the front of the cover. I thought it would go like this, but then I decided that I want it here off to the side, and I want to build all these pieces around this one. You can use any glue you like. Sometimes I like to use just a glue stick, and sometimes I like to use white glue, and sometimes I will use this kind of glue. This is a B7000 or 6000. I really don't care. It's just something that I use because it has a fine nozzle, and it just makes my life easier, as you can see. So now I've as I said, these are not adhered yet. I just put them one on top of each other to see how it looks, and now I'm just going to have fun with it, which means that I'm just going to put down pieces that feel like they will work. And I'm going for not symmetrical, and by that it means that sometimes I will have leftover space that I will have a little bit more problem to fit in, but that's okay, and I don't have a problem if I will have some space in between, because I'm thinking that later on I will do something else on the spaces in between. So I've got this. Now, of course, you can plan ahead and place all your pieces, and when you're satisfied with the layout, then adhere everything. And or you can do like what I'm doing right now and just go with the flow, and wherever it goes, it goes. Okay. I'm also not putting them in a straight line because I don't want anything to be too calculated, and yeah, that's the only explanation I can give right now. So let's see, will it fit in? Yeah, okay. Now again, I can decide to do the whole cover like this, and I can decide that I only want the front of the cover. Up to you and how much work you want to put into your cover. Yeah, okay. Next, let's see, I can also decide to go sideways like this, but I think I'll just go like this, I think, or maybe, yeah, I like this one better here. Okay, next, this one, yeah, this works. Okay, next, let's see. Nope. And I'm just putting them down and seeing what works and what doesn't, and that's that. Very simple, and I'll probably have pieces left. Just so I can see how it looks. And I will need to make more pieces. So that's the start, and I'm going to cut more pieces and adhere all of this, and I'll be back. Okay, so all the pieces are glued down, and now I'm going to continue working on it. What I'm going to do is I'm taking this 10B pencil. It can be 6B, 10B, 12B, just a darker graphite and a softer graphite of a pencil, and I want to give each piece a little bit more dimensionality, and I'm going to do this by just taking the pencil and going on this side of each piece and on this side, and I can smear it with my finger, or I can use a Q-tip, or even if you have this kind of a soft, very short hair brush, usually used for makeup, so it's another option. And as I said, also you can use a Q-tip like so, and what I'm just going to do is smear it. If you have a blending stub, also can be used. So on each piece I'm just adding a little bit of let's say a shadow like so, and I'm just going over it until it's blended and I don't see harsh lines. So that's what I'm going to do to all the pieces. Now, if you've got a white pencil or white chalk, I would usually go on the other side and add a little bit of white, but this is not easy to come by, and it's not cheap, so I'm not going to use it today. Just wanted to show you that if you have it, you can use it. So as you can see, very simple, just with the Q-tip. going over and adding some shadow to the pieces. I'm not going to do all the pieces on camera, it will take forever, and that's not the point. So instead of the white pencil, I'm going to use a forgot the name. Just forgot. Correction fluid. Okay, correction fluid. Well, just to give it like a highlight. Doesn't have to be perfect or anything. Like so. So each piece is going to get the same treatment. And when I'm finished, I'm going to be back. If you've got white markers, also go for it. My favorite one is the Uniball Signo, but there are so many these days out there, even in office supply. At least in my cheap store, I've got it in office supply. So that's another option if you've got it. So I'm going to continue doing this and I'll be back. Okay, so I hope you can see how a little bit of shadowing, a little bit of a highlight can change things, and it looks a little bit more dimensional. I forgot, now I see that I forgot here to do a little bit more of the highlight. So here we go. Okay, so I'm not I'm not done yet. And this is just my own brand of crazy. You don't have to. It seems like I can't leave spaces alone, so I'm going to add dots, and I'm just going to use this white acrylic paint. And let's see, I've got the back of this marker. Maybe this would be nice. Yeah, why not? So I'm just adding dots. Again, I'm doing it quite randomly. It could be the back of a paintbrush, it can be a Q-tip. I once done something similar and gone around all, let's call them tiles, with white acrylic marker and doodled all around. So, but I'm not using a white acrylic marker again because it's not something that everyone has. So I really like this, and now I'm going to switch to another object just so I will have a smaller dots. And if you've got a stylus, it also, you can use a stylus to make dots. Now I'm just using the back of a brush. I'm moving this around just so my hand won't get into wet paint. I didn't even plan on it, and it's just something that I feel like doing, and that's that. Again, you don't have to follow my craziness. Then I will have to wait for it to dry before I'll do anything more because I need it to dry to adhere it to my journal. Trying to look and see where I want more dots. Now that I'm thinking of it, I could have probably done some dots at each end of a shape, and it would be like a breads or nails. Also something to think about as an option. I can go and as I know myself, I can probably go and do all around the shapes, but I think I'll try to contain myself and not do that. Just leave it be. Okay, I'm leaving it be. I'm going to let this dry completely, and then I'm going to show you how I'm adhering it to my journal, and another option to play with the cover. So I'll be back. Okay, finished. I just added a little bit more dots because I just couldn't help myself. And now to bring in the journal, so I can just glue it like this and be done with it, but I decided that I wanted some closure, and when you want some closure you need to think if it's going on top of your cover or underneath your cover, and I'm going underneath. I want a ribbon. Just picked some ribbon I had, and what I'm going to do is first I'm going to adhere it here. So once while I'm doing the gluing, I'm going to talk about next in series, if I can call it that. I think that's enough of a ribbon sticking out. So yeah. And just going around so I can see approximately where to cut it. That's okay. Now, of course, you don't have to have this kind of ribbon. It can be with jute, it can be with a yarn, embroidery thread, whatever you want. If you want to do something like that, a torn piece from fabric, if you like frayed endings, all kinds of stuff can be used. Now I'm just going to put the glue all around. I don't feel the need to cover the whole thing. I'm just going around the edges and maybe the spine. So I'm just putting out glue. So next I'm going to do, because you really wanted me to keep on with this series, so I am going to continue, and I'm going to make another journal, and this time not from a notebook, although you can, if that's what works for you, like I've done here. If it's a notebook, if it's a all-day planner, anything can work. But what I thought of doing is doing two journals, because first I wasn't sure what I would do it. I was debating if to do it from packaging or to do it from paper bags. Yeah, paper bags. Sometimes I get stuck on something. So and then I decided why choose between the two. I will do from one from packaging and one from paper bags, and so you can see it can be done, and also that each one can find something to work with what is accessible to him or her, whatever. I'm just in general, whatever you have, you can use. I even done in the past, a few years ago, an art journal in a newspaper. It can be in a magazine, it can be on whatever you want. If it can be done on a notebook with flimsy paper, it can be done anywhere. So that's the journal. It's finished. And in terms of the next in line, as I said, I will do two. I'll do two journals, and I'm planning on adding all kinds of more elements to our journaling. Now, I need for you to tell me if craft foam is something that is cheap and accessible to you, because I find that it's one of the best materials to use for making stamps, and it's cheap. At least here it's cheap because it's I can find it at the cheap store, and it's for a kids craft, so it's cheap. So let me know if it's something that you can get your hands on. And another thing that I want you to get a hold of is a baby powder, talc, whatever you call it, because we are going to make gesso, we are going to make modeling paste, and just if you can, either a gel food coloring or a textile dye powder for making sprays, although you don't have to. And I want to continue the series with just adding more techniques, more elements, and still stay in the frame of art journaling from scratch and with limited supplies. Another thing, I wanted you to tell me if you're in your cheap stores, you can get a hold of watercolor sets, and if they are cheap, like this one. This is from the cheap store. It's the cheapest there is. It's for kids. Pigment is not great, but it can still be worked with, and you can do many things with it. So I would really like to know if it's something that is available and it's cheap. So this and craft foam, that's the two things that I need to know about before I'm incorporating them to the new series. I will continue labeling the videos the same way, and so there won't be any mistake, but it will be like a new series in another journal. So I hope you liked it. I hope you'll have fun doing something like this, and I hope of seeing you in my next video. So thank you for watching, and thank you for leaving me comments down below. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.